Well, hi there. My name is Joan Miller, and I have some life-saving information I know you will find invaluable. Our military is sending loaded weapons off some of their bases in the United States, disguised as sober soldiers. But don't let that fool you. They are in fact loaded, driving weapons that can and will cause mass destruction. And there's not a single citizen, not you, a loved one, your neighbor, our law enforcement, or even our elected officials who are not at risk from these weapons. Let me tell you about these weapons and a double standard that is totally preventable. About a life-altering situation that happened to my husband John and me. While on the way back to our hotel after a business conference in Utah, an active duty member of our armed forces was the hit-and-run drunk driver who nearly took my life and seriously injured John. After serving him drinks to approximately 3 times over the legal limit, the employees at the non-commissioned officers club allowed this drunk soldier to get behind the wheel of his car and drive off the base as a loaded weapon, putting everybody in his path in grave danger. We were in his path. When the soldier crashed into us, we were hit at such impact my head smashed against the passenger window and doorpost. In turn, the window shattered, breaking my skull into 24 pieces. Those pieces were then sent inward to my brain, carving out chunks along their way. John's leg was broken in 2 places, his lung was punctured, and all of his groin muscles were pulled. We were taken code 3 to the hospital in separate ambulances. My emergency brain surgery lasted for hours as doctors tried to repair the damage my own skull had done to my brain. They then had the job of telling John I may not make it through the night. However, if I did, there was a very high chance of me being a vegetable for the rest of my life. I was diagnosed with a severe traumatic brain injury. While I was undergoing the hours of emergency brain surgery, Utah State Trooper Mark Shepard had gone to arrest this young soldier. Seems he had called up the police and was concerned about his wrecked truck. He had no idea 6 people had just been transported to local hospitals with me clinging to life, all because he was allowed to get behind the wheel of that car and drive off the base. While I spent 4 days in a coma, this young soldier spent 1 night in jail. That's it, 1 night. Now there's a double standard. While our medical expenses totaled close to $1 million, including years of intensive physical and mental rehab, the court ordered the soldier to pay $7 a month for 2 years as restitution. Let me do the math. That's $168. So $168 versus $1 million, that would be yet another double standard. You see, because he had been overserved on a military base, Hill Air Force Base to be exact, the Utah State Supreme Court deemed the server wasn't liable. That server? Our government. Had the young soldier been outside the base in any other establishment that served alcohol, that establishment would be liable for overserving people who then get into their car and injure or kill someone. Another double standard courtesy of our government. The job now becomes everybody's because everybody's at risk. That means anyone who travels into or lives in a state where there's no regulation on military bases for alcohol. And you may not find out until you are a loved one or a victim. It's not information that they share on visitors' websites or in pamphlets at their Chamber of Commerce. You see, each state carries its own set of state laws. However, state laws can trump federal laws by a mere phrasing of negligence or strict liability. So let's say you take your grandchildren out for ice cream one afternoon and get creamed by a soldier who just came from the non-commissioned officers club on a military base where he had been overserved. Shouldn't the military be accountable for the injuries to you and your grandchildren and the conduct of the soldier? Well, what if you're in a state where there's this double standard and federal law doesn't apply? Do you hear, too bad, oh so sad, wrong place, wrong time. But you need to pick up the pieces and move on. You're on your own. That's indeed what you're going to hear if there isn't a standardized policy in place and the military is held accountable for this double standard. It starts and it stops where the alcohol is served and consumed. Alcohol is alcohol, done deal. There are no pretty bows attached to it for our military. They cannot hide behind legal phrasing, making it okay to send loaded weapons off their bases. Because our government, the server, was not held liable, we had no recourse. All of our medical bills, past, present, future, and our lack of livelihood would be John's and my responsibility for the remainder of our lives. This is insanity, and this insanity will continue if someone doesn't speak up and make people aware that it has happened and will continue to happen until the military is held accountable for this double standard. There has to be responsibility and consequences for their actions. Had we been hit in our home state of Oregon, the drunk soldier would have been looking at felony assault. That would be a Measure 11 assault to conviction. He would also be looking at felony hit and run for leaving a seriously injured person behind. It's likely he would have served a 70-month sentence. And in the state of Oregon, the military would have been held accountable, and John and I would have had recourse for the millions of dollars out of our own pockets for our medical expenses and lack of livelihood. Oregon's got it right. Does your state? Call your legislators and tell them this double standard has to be changed. The United States has no place for this lack of accountability on the part of our government. You can also go on to www.oughttobealaw.org and sign our online petition. We'll make sure your congressperson hears your thoughts on this critical issue. That you can count on. You won't get any spamming or any email offers, no phone calls. This website is controlled by John and myself. But what you will get is our continued dedication to saving lives, maybe yours, maybe a loved one, by changing these laws. Why don't you take the time today and get onto our website and sign our petition? Since the crash, saving lives and the quality of life has become my passion. I'm co-founder of a survivor-led brain injury support, referral, and resource group called Birdsong. We help brain injury survivors and their families navigate this new life with a brain injury. For more information about brain injury, or if brain injury has touched your life, log on to www.birdsong.org. Birdsong, 2 R's, 1 song.org. Thank you for your time, and God bless you and your families.